Шановні колеги, ми продовжуємо роботу. Тема наступної події – Yes to Ukraine, політика Австрії щодо інтеграції країн Балкан до Європейського Союзу як модель для України, фокус на права людини від Косово до Криму. Нашими гостями сьогодні є Алуш Гаші, професор, колишній міністр та депутат Республіки Косово, активіст з питань прав людини, також Ескендер Барієв, член Меджлісу кримсько-татарського народу, голова правління Кримсько-татарського ресурсного центру, а також Günther Fehlinger, президент ініціативи під назвою «Європейці за податкову реформу». Доброго дня, колеги, і першим буде говорити пан Günther. Mr. Günther,
Good afternoon.
Especially in the focus month about the sad occasion of 3 years of occupation of Crimea. This is very special for us, and we are very honored that we have this cooperation with the Crimea CTR Center. We are very happy about this opportunity, and also I would like to especially welcome the former minister and also the personality who has coordinated the resistance and the international efforts of the Kosovo Albanians in the 90s, and then also one of the signatories of the Independence Declaration, Professor Alush Gashi. This is very special that you are here with us on this afternoon here in Kiev. This is important. Me personally, I would like to introduce as the Austrian Committee for European Ukraine. We are trying to rediscover the common past between Ukraine and Austria in order to be ready for a joint future in the European Union. This is important. It's a civil society activity. We want to intensify the cooperation between Ukraine and Austria. And our model is that after the 25 years of cooperation with the southeastern European countries, it's now time to deploy the same methods and support and success strategies which have also supported peace, stability, prosperity for southeastern Europe, here for Ukraine post-Maidan. And we would like to achieve the following. We have already, Dr. Busek was here in December for the event Austrian-Ukrainian Days, and our long-term perspective is that Ukraine receives a similar guarantee for EU accession like the Balkan countries have received in 2003 already, 4 years after the war. It was possible that the European Union has promised to all countries of southeastern Europe to join the European Union during the Thessaloniki summit. And that's very important. This kind of stability and guarantee of EU accession delivers then a framework, a stable framework for the future of a country. This should happen as well for Ukraine. We have asked several high personalities from the Austrian political scene to sign publicly to this agenda. It's called Yes to Ukraine, and it's a cross-party political committee for EU integration of Ukraine, and their target is exactly this guarantee to achieve it. Wolfgang Großruck is a former member of the Austrian Parliament. Wolfgang Ammon is a very famous activist as well. And we have also here Mr. Gressel from the European Center for Foreign Policy. He is the author of the Ukraine report. And also, very important, Mr. Warwick. He is the member of the Austrian Parliament from the Liberal Party and a very strong supporter of Ukraine's EU accession. So the general idea and the concept we are promoting is a partnership between Ukraine, Georgia, Moldova, and the 6 Western Balkan countries to join the European Union, not together, it is always a question who is ready for what, but in a form of a strong alliance that these 9 countries work together to improve the accession process. Because now in southeastern Europe we have already 18 years of peace after 1999, and we have achieved a lot of progress institutionally in EU accession. And this is very important for Ukraine, Moldova and Georgia to join this group and to ensure, and this is the most problematic discussion, to ensure that the European Union is open for the next step of enlargement. Because, you know, that's a really difficult task. And if we don't work together, coordinate very well, this can maybe take many decades. And we want this to be fast, and it's important to work together closely. Look, what we think is important, and there is a lot of institutions here which I will also outline in a moment. In the southeastern European countries we have started with a lot of sector cooperation, because joining directly, like Bulgaria and Romania has done, is very difficult. So what has happened in the southeastern European countries, the European Union has supported, together with the international donor community, for example, CEFTA, the Central European Free Trade Agreement. For example, the Energy Union in Vienna, which is very important, the Energy Secretariat. Ukraine is, for example, a member of that, and it was now very, very positive. Also for public finance, there's their own international organization in Slovenia to make the cooperation in public finance. For public administration, there's their own regional school for public administration. For entrepreneurship learning, we have our own institution in Southeastern Europe. For transport, very important also for the high political level. Good, I will speak a little bit slower, the translation is insisting. Good. In 2014, Chancellor Merkel of Germany has invited all the 6 Southeastern European countries to with a Berlin dialogue for the Balkans on a high level to ensure cross-border cooperations and coordination for EU accession. And exactly this is happening as well. Energy I have mentioned. There's a network for international organization for anti-corruption based in Slovenia. And the latest is also a youth exchange network for Southeastern Europe based in Tirana. Regional development in the Danube strategy, police cooperation. So there's a lot of institutions, and the idea is that Ukraine is joining exactly this institution, reforms its sector efforts together with the partners from Southeastern Europe, and is successful together. It's important when you look, for example, at the numbers of the GDP per capita. Please look on the left. You see that Ukraine in 2015 is at $2,100 per capita. Imagine, you are one of the richest countries with all natural resources, with very talented people, and still per capita now at the moment, you are, look where Kosovo is, 3,500. So the level of prosperity is really very dramatically low compared to the potential of the country. It's really important to focus on the strategic reform efforts which have been done in the Balkan countries. And welcome to Professor Alush Gashi. That's why we have invited the professor in order to develop and also show at the tax reform conference we had on Wednesday with Mr. Ivan Miklos and the success of the reform model of Kosovo, because now institutionally and also economically it is really a success story seen where Kosovo was 15, 18 years ago. And now, after the war, with the stable framework of EU integration, economic reform, 10% taxation, it has really developed very strongly. And Dr. Gashi is like a very strong personality for the liberation of Kosovo, but also as a former minister representative of the institution, Minister of Health, was also the chairman in the parliament of the group of the LDK, the majority party in the coalition, and is the representative very strongly. Also, he was the foreign policy advisor to the late President Rugova. And we are very honored that you are here also to describe your perspectives about the Ukraine and also your perspective about potential of cooperation. Also to explain the reason for our cooperation with the Crimean Tatar Resource Center and Mr. Bariev, we are very honored that you are here. We in Austria and in general also the European Union, human rights is the principles on which we are built, and we definitely want to support the Crimean Tatars and also fight against human rights violation in the Crimea. And we want also to explain a little bit the debate that Crimea and Kosovo, because it was debated in the media, is certainly not the same situation, because the human rights violations in Kosovo, they happened before the intervention, and in Crimea they're happening after intervention and annexation. So, and Kosovo is very much a success model, and this has to be recognized as well here. And we would definitely would like to employ different models which in Southeastern Europe have worked. And the situation is also very clearly, we want to make a clear statement on that one. Annexation of Crimea, no, no, never. This is unacceptable change of international order and can never be accepted by nobody. This is my opening statement. Now I would like to welcome Professor Gashi for your perspectives and your views on Ukraine and the cooperation between Ukraine and Kosovo in the future. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I am very much honored by given opportunity to visit this beautiful country for the third time. My first visit in Kiev in Ukraine was in 1973 as a medical student. The second visit was in 1988. It was a visit after Chernobyl, where the situation was very grave in this city. Now, Kiev and entire Ukraine looks very promising and very enthusiastic, and The meetings with academia, with journalists, with young people, with officials are very good. You have quality people, you have natural resources, and I'm confident that you have a great future. For me, it's an honor and privilege to thank Ukrainian people, its institutions, for supporting Kosovo security through the NATO for 18 years. Ukrainian soldiers, as part of KFOR, are really on a daily basis helping not just to have local security, but to train Kosovo security forces to be part of NATO and international community to export stability. As someone who was blessed and privileged to sign the Declaration of Independence, it's my solemn duty to ask Ukrainian government, its representatives, civic society, media, and citizens of this beautiful nation to take into consideration to recognize independence of Republic of Kosovo, which has been recognized by 113 countries, which has been recognized by most of Western European countries. We are a tiny nation, we cannot compare with you, but the size of the nations today sometimes do not matter. It matters about the strength of democratic institutions, quality of reform, knowledge, and application of science for the good of the people. We have learned to respect others. We have learned to be very grateful because people who never met us came to rescue Kosovo from genocide. Western democracy under US leadership waged the war for us. And now it's our duty to demonstrate respect for individuals, respect for human rights, and commitment for democratic institutions. We have made quite a good progress in reforms. We have learned how to let others who know better than us to lead the reforms, and we followed. And now we have been empowered in some aspects to help others who are not protected, who are still dreaming for human rights, and we just want to be part of solution. Personally, thus several days talking to people, I really haven't seen any reasons why government has not made decision to recognize our independence. I'm encouraged that they did sign the agreement with the government of Republic of Albania. And the next month will be economical forum. And I trust that business community from Kosovo will be part of it. So the links as do exist between KFOR and Ukraine as part of KFOR, or our people who are working in security, we will extend to economic cooperation, academic cooperation, and I believe that Ukraine will have courage to invite our Minister of Foreign Affairs to visit the country, invite members of parliament to visit your institutions, and I hope that before long you will make the solemn decision to recognize us. We are just here to extend hand of freedom and to say once more, thank you for your support.
Thank you very much, Professor. Very excellent. I would like now to give directly to Eskender. Please, the floor is yours. Looking forward.
Спасибо большое. Я в первую очередь...
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Günther, who made it possible for us to have this meeting these days, and maybe to establish context for the future, because in due time when we were working on strategy of public diplomacy, and it was based on this stable development of public diplomacy, search for the world over for the Crimean Tatars, the friends of Ukraine, who could be the advocates or the defenders, who could prompt us what to do and help us to do some, maybe who will be our, let's say, the translators of the information, or let's say, which we carry here. When we had the Charlie House meeting in London, when they had this Crimean Tatar days, we met Mr. Günther, and in those days we came up with the initiative in the context of the Austrian-Ukrainian solidarity to develop the idea and topic of the Austrian Crimean Tatar solidarity. I'm going to talk about that in more details later, but while being in London, with the attendance of a number of foreign institutions, we had an idea, and we actively work on that, to create the international movement of solidarity with the Crimean Tatar people or nation. Actually, this happens in parallel to different other functions, and owing to Mr. Günther, we had a number of different meetings with a famous journalist, or well-known journalist. Today, we had an opportunity to meet a person who actually was at the cradle of this process, and he knows well the process which happened in Kosovo. Of course, we could different problems, what the parallels between Kosovo and Crimea, what is common, what is different, but I might tell you that about 18 months ago, one of the activists of the Crimean Tatar movement, member of Mejlis, he said, Eskender, well, being in Kiev, think about the following. Maybe we can come up with the analysis and the parallels with the Kosovo situation. Owing to Mr. Günther, we had an opportunity to meet together and communicate. And maybe today we can plan our work in two different directions. This is my subjective opinion. Number one, human rights protection. How the Kosovo people were fighting for the protection of their rights, and how the Kosovo citizens and their representatives in the person of Professor Gashi can contribute to the protection of human rights of the Crimean Tatars. And you know that over the last few years, two killed persons were found. So you speaking about the repressions against the Crimean Tatars continue in the Crimea. The second direction of our cooperation, we can think what would we like to have in the future, what kind of model of the Crimea we can build now. Actually, taking in consideration the Kosovo experience, we must think what model we have to build in order for the citizens in the Crimea, irrespective of their religion or ethnic belonging, could feel as the equal residents of the Crimea. So we have to think today and study the experience of the economic growth, as Mr. Günther mentioned a few minutes ago, economic growth of the Republic of Kosovo, I mean, and those aspects, those specific directions are very important. And actually today we discuss how we should build our cooperation, how we can exchange available information. But I can tell you now that in the person of our Kosovo colleagues, we see the friends of the Republic of Kosovo. And I believe that the Kosovo people managed to achieve their independence and this very powerful international support only because, on the one hand, they were consolidated. On the other hand, they actively worked seeking for the friends the world over, and they succeeded in that. I believe if we have a proper we carry out proper actions, then the friends of Kosovo will become our friends, and they will actually support also the Crimean Tatar people and Ukraine as a whole. And our task is to create such mechanisms. We already have discussed, and maybe in the nearest future we're going to work on that. Maybe representatives of the Mejlis of the Crimean Tatar people will come to the Republic of Kosovo or visit Kosovo just to gather some information and acquaint themselves with the situation there. Maybe we can talk about some kind of the joint roundtables. Maybe the representatives of the Mejlis of Crimean Tatar people can participate in some kind of interinstitutional structures where the Republic of Kosovo participates. Maybe the Republic of Kosovo will become the initiator for us to become at least observers. Those processes are very important, not only for the Crimean Tatars, but also for the Ukraine as a whole. Thank you.
Strong and positive outline. And now I would like to ask some questions about all the topics. You have some feedback?
Колеги, чи є певні запитання?
Do you have questions to your colleagues? У нас нема.
Just to conclude that the cooperation between Ukraine and Kosovo is one of the targets of our visit here and of the activities. 113 in the meantime have already recognized jointly the Balkans and Black Sea for open and united Europe of a European Union of 37 member countries. This is the target. And the strategic partnership between the Crimean Tatars, Kosovo. It's also very important to understand that yes to Ukraine, yes to EU, and that's very important, but also a yes to Kosovo is necessary from the side of the Ukrainian authorities. And we hope for the very close cooperation between Ukraine and Kosovo. And to conclude also, and this is our target, and to have a very competitive, open, free and united Ukraine, and the Austrian SME politics, the Austrian Balkan politics as a role model, and to support Ukraine by joining the partners of the Southeastern European countries, all together united to transform towards a strong EU partnership and to join the European Union in the future. And we have all the mechanisms in place also for the Crimean Tatars, for human rights, for property rights, and also for the Crimea Peninsula itself. And we have been through all this history already, and we have all the mechanisms in place, and we are committed, and the international order must be held up. We definitely will never accept any kind of violation, and changing borders by force is not going to happen. Thanks a lot. I would like to thank you now very much, and I want especially to thank Professor Gashi for his visit here, and I hope you will soon be back, and also Eskender for your partnership. We are looking forward. All the best. Looking forward. Thank you.
Thank you a lot. Looking forward to seeing you here soon. Thank you.